On YouTube. Whew, Jesus. On YouTube. Whew, Jesus. It didn't give me the alert yet. Come on now.
Hello, Ashley.
Why you say it like that?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Empress, Kim, Tashana, Ashley, Desane, Tanika, Ebonique, Tanika. I'm not sending you anything. You left us hanging the other day.
Hold on real quick. Hold on.
I'm oily. Y'all like my water? I manifested this water. I have been looking for it for a while, and I found it. I just have to get over the color, but it just tastes like water. No taste at all. It's just melanated.
Didn't I tell you that stuff tastes like water? I told you it tastes just like water.
Of course, I wasn't going to believe you. I had to try it for myself.
It tastes like regular ass water. That's what it tastes like. That's what it tastes like. Regular water. Whew, Jesus sauce.
Hello. Hello, Ashley. Take yourself off of mute.
Is Ashley on here?
She is.
Unmute me. Unmute me.
We hear you.
You are unmuted.
Hey.
Hey, Miss MIA.
Oh my God. I have had the craziest day.
Say you had the craziest day.
Yes.
What happened?
I'm on my way home from work now. But check this out. This is white privilege at its finest. So
Does she know we live before she go ham? Ashley, do you know we live before you?
Yes, I'm live. I don't give a damn.
Just to warn y'all.
Look, I'm just gonna tell the truth. So I'm at work and the hair store down a couple doors down had a robbery in which a guy came in with a girl and they were asking questions and then they left. Then the guy comes back a couple days later and robs the place, and as he's leaving with the hair, they see him and he drops his gun and picks it up and continues to leave. So they didn't chase after him, of course, right? Mm-hmm. So that was like maybe a month ago. So today I'm working and this random white dude walks up and he's like, yeah, how much is this place? I'm looking for a cheap place to have my girlfriend get her haircut. I said, well, you just need to go talk to Suite 1 and 2. They can help you out. He's looking around, asking more questions about getting his girlfriend a haircut. And I think about, the hair store a couple doors down, and I'm like, nah, is he casing? So I said, no, you can go to Suite 1 and 2. They can help you. So he goes down the hallway to the other side where another stylist is and asks her where his girlfriend can get her hair twisted. So yes, it's like real extra weird. Like where we are, nobody walks in and just starts asking questions, especially men. Like these days, if you want to get your hair done, you gonna look online. So it just looked really weird. So we called security. Security called police. They saw him sitting out. He decided to sit outside on the curb on the phone, which looked real suspect. Then he goes into the little restaurant across from us. Well, the police go into the restaurant. They take him outside, right? And me and my client just sitting here watching. They frisk him. They asking him questions, and then they let him go. And I'm thinking, had that been a black man, he'd have been all on the ground, face cooking on the concrete, in handcuffs, answering questions on his way to the jailhouse. So this white dude comes back maybe an hour later and is looking and knocking on doors. I didn't see him, but my neighbor told me he was knocking on the doors asking who called the police on him. Like, you got to be out your white privileged mind to come back to a place where the people call the police on you to demand an answer on why they called the police on you. I wish I'd have saw him out there. I didn't see him out there when he came back, but like that's white privilege for your ass. Let a black man go back to a white establishment and ask why he got the cops called on him, and they're gonna be calling an ambulance for him.
Well, welcome guys. I put the link. Oh, I'm so fucking retarded. Hold on. I put the link on the page. On my page. Oh, where's it at? So hit the share button.
Share. We are answering, we're doing spiritual talk today, Destiny. So because most people wanted to do that, so we're doing, this is our normal day, so
So tomorrow we will be doing readings while y'all are like, when are they doing readings again? Tomorrow, that's when.
Thank you, love. I made them myself. I make them and put them on sale for people. With the noise. Is that you, Ashley?
That's me. That's the locust. I don't know how the hell to get them asses to cut it out, but that is the fucking locust. That's what that is. The motherfuckers is loud as shit.
Hey, Billy Ray.
Hey, Miss Billy Ray.
Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Billy Ray, Billy Ray.
Praise the Lord.
So tonight we have a special guest.
Yes.
No, I just don't hear her voice as much. Miss Billy Ray with her praise the Lord.
Right.
So tonight, before we get started, so we really wanted to talk. Of course, we answer your questions, but let the church say amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.
Spiritual talk, but also like creating your own narrative. Today, we kind of
Amen.
Ashley has sent this link of this video, and it's like, oh yeah, that'll be good topic to kind of go on, because a lot of times we have been talking, and I feel like people give into the media so much, and all the energy that you give the orange POTUS and everything else that goes on around. You just give too much attention to it, and it's like instead of creating the narrative, you're just perpetuating it. On that on a spiritual level, and move from there.
All right. So
You say that I was going to make some and put them on sale. I actually, I have a few already. I haven't sold any of them, but because I haven't put them up, but I have some already in the making. So yes, ma'am, I will do so. So let's introduce ourselves.
all right. Well, I am Goddess Cena, psychic medium. I offer many services for intuitive readings from love, money, to career, to your soul purpose, spiritual gifts, and other shit. I also have a mindset course that will help you change your mindset from being unsuccessful to having prosperity and abundance. I also help you develop your spiritual gifts. So you're more than welcome to check out my website. It is it's www.cosmicgoddesslifestyle.org. It's cosmic with a Z, and you'll find all of my details in the description of this post. Is it there, or do they have to go to the about section?
Go to the about section. I still haven't figured out everybody's information. Well, I haven't figured out how to put it down here. I just know how to put it on here after we're done, but I don't know how to do it while we're on. Miss Lee, you want to introduce yourself? Let the people know who you are.
Can she hear? I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, I think she can. She's just not visible, but she can hear. Hello. Billy. Are you there, Billy? Billy, are you there, Billy?
Okay. Yeah. I'm Billy Ray.
And I sing and dance and I sing at the church.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's not true, guys.
That's about it.
All right. Well, we're gonna let her. She's creating her narrative.
Right.
Of course, hi guys. I'm Kay, your lifestylist, your secure woman mentor. I help women move past their BS, their trauma, help them win. I help them win in life. All the above. I'm gonna offer coaching services as well as readings. The links are, of course, in the About section. Even for Billy Ray, you can reach her on her Instagram. Her link is also over there on the in the About section. She offers services as well. You'll just have to reach out to her because her services change, but she's great at what she does. So yeah. And then we have our guest, Ashley, who is just on here because y'all have missed her as the admin.
And clearly we need somebody to help us pronounce names because y'all know that we can't get y'all names.
That's what I'm here for.
Because Miss Ashley gonna get it right for you.
Now, Shantae said, I was about to ask who is Orange POTUS. Yeah. But please share, if you will, please share. So, hold on.
All right, Kay, so you want to kind of lead us in the discussion of the topic?
Yeah, so I'm still tripping over why somebody would ask that. Anyway, like I said, we're answering questions, of course, but we definitely wanted to talk about creating your narrative on a more spiritual aspect of it, because a lot of times what happens is that we talk about spirituality because a lot of people do have questions, and it is a lot to talk about because there's a lot that we don't know, and even after talking about it and learning about it, there's still so much more to learn. So we really wanted to dive into kind of being manipulated into thinking certain things, having your own way, having your, I'm gonna say your own way of thinking, but yes, your own way of thinking, not allowing social media, news, and all these other things to kind of control your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, prime example, and I'm just gonna use him because he's out here, and I don't really care, like with the whole Jay-Z situation with him, collaborating with NFL or whatever, a lot of people are saying a lot of things, but instead of you just allowing it to just flow, most people are quick to take a side instead of having your own mind about it. Just like how religion has been it just infiltrates us so much that people are afraid to even to say, I don't go to church. Like, we have to be more in our power. Jesus said, these powers I have, so do you. Like, you have the power. It says, I am. It didn't say, I am Jesus sent me. It just says, I am. So you are the I am. We have to walk in that power. We have to create and control our narrative when it comes to us living this life here in this realm. So that's kind of what our talk is going to be about tonight. And like I said, we'll still ask questions because we definitely want you guys to, you haven't missed anything, want you guys to ask questions because, it helps us talk to you guys. So let's see here.
So controlling the narrative. So what would be controlling the narrative?
What would be controlling the narrative? Like, just prime examples, like telling people, one primary way, in my opinion, is telling people, only because I recently talked to one of my clients, and her aunt or someone was at her house, and she doesn't go to church. She's spiritual. So she had all this stuff around her, I guess her house or whatever. And her aunt was so upset. Oh, you just need to, give your life over to Jesus and blah, 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 and da, 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 da. For so long, we are controlled by the fact that, you know, there's only one way to live, to go. You got to take the straight and narrow path and all the other stuff instead of us. And we're afraid and we're hiding, a lot of us, behind the fact that that's just not the case. I'm just saying that's not the case. You have to then do your own research. The Bible is a great book, but there are other books people have written but also you are the author of your, and maybe even the co-author of your own book. You can write your own life out. But it takes the truth, it takes discipline. It's not always completely easy, but the fact that you start somewhere. I know Arsenio was saying a lady who was older, she had a reading. She was like, well, I'm 50 and I don't know what's going on. It's too late for me to be awakening or whatever the case may be. And it's like, no, it's not. You're not dead. Right. So some people will stay in BS and I will say go against themselves for the sake of people around them. And we have to stop doing that.
Their belief system, because we're talking about controlling the narrative. So the best thing to kind of really relate it to is to government and religion, and they both go hand in hand, because religion is a belief system. And people just really don't want to take responsibilities for themselves. People literally want to be controlled. And like she had mentioned earlier, we had watched the video with Damian Dash talk about how human beings have been bred to be slaves, how they have been kind of genetically altered to be slaves. So you find more people who want to be told what to do and not make the decisions for themselves. And I find, being a reader, most of my clients want me to tell them what should I do instead of telling me what are the best options, what are the best outcome of, I want to do A, B, C, and D, but can you tell me the outcome of all of these? And I get more of the, tell me what to do. What should I do? Should I go here? Should I go there? Will it be a mistake? And there's so much where a lot of people just basically want to be told what to do. There's a slave mentality, and that has been done on purpose. And religion is definitely one of those things that gets people caught up, because even for myself, me being in spirituality, I am one of the only ones who is open in my family about practicing spirituality. And it got to the point to where my family had to come to Jesus. Everybody got on the phone, and everybody, without even asking me what I was doing, they assumed that I was devil worshiping. They assumed that I was going to go to hell. They assumed so many things, and no one had a conversation, but everybody had a conversation with everybody. And they got on the phone, and the Bible said this, and the Bible said this, but no one can give me any definitive proof outside of what the Bible says. You got to do it this way, because if you don't do it this way, you're going to go to hell. And I don't want you to go to hell, because it's my responsibility as a Christian to tell you not to go to hell. So people fall into the controlled narrative even without knowing it. And religion is one of those really huge portions of a belief system that keeps the narrative controlled of, as long as I stay in this Bible, I'm going to give you scriptures that might or might not be valid. And I want you to keep in the same way that I'm going. You can't go to the side. You can't go up. You can't go down. You can't leave. You got to do it how this book tells us to do it.
But wait a minute. You got to think of something, though. A narrative could be both something in truth and matter, or something that is fictitious. So for us, or for people that don't walk in the Christ-like, church-like manner,
right,
that's fictitious for us. Like that, like the sand, the footprints in the sand. When I'm on the beach, I see that one set because I left him back there. So it could be a truth thing, or it could be a fictitious thing. So it's their truth. So we can't impose on their truth, but they can't impose on our truth. So what's hell for us is them imposing on us. Is that right?
Right.
That would be our hell. Okay.
Right.
And so our truth for them is their hell because they can't handle the truth, if that makes
It makes a lot of sense.
sense. Okay.
It makes a lot of sense. It's true for them, their belief system, for them what they believe to be true and not what they know to be true is, for me, this is how it is. There, in my creation of my world, there's a heaven, there's a hell, there's a book that controls and tells me and guides me of what I should do, what I shouldn't do. And if I stray from it, I'm not, like, the moment I stray from it, I'm going to go to hell. And it's my job to make sure that everybody around me follows this narrative that I believe in. Because I believe that everybody should do it.
Right.
And not just worry about their own walk. It's, you got to do it too. Because if you don't do it too, then you're a bad person. Because if you don't agree with me, if you're not on the same page with me, then you're a problem.
Right. And the crazy part is, like you said, they're most of the time, because in order to control a thing, you have to put fear behind it in a lot of aspects. So when we have moved from a belief into a knowing,
Mm-hmm.
when we have moved from a belief into a knowing, where we're coming from a fear-based place, and
Mm-hmm.
we're coming into this knowing, we're still a lot of times holding on to the fear of the belief. And we have to learn how to, a lot of times, let that fear part go. And I think that is what keeps us really kind of toggling back and forth. Well, is it wrong or is it not wrong? One thing you have to understand is this, and I say this every time, we are all here to get to a higher place within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as the Bible can say, or Jesus can say, hey, you have the power, you are the I am, you are the creator, you are also God. As much as it can say that in different scriptures, we will still find a way, or there has still been a way placed on us to say, that's not true. What do you mean?
Right.
Only power that you have is to pray and go outside of yourself. And here you are learning and feeling and coming into a place where you're like, well, I know something is wrong. I know something is not right with what I was told to believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you can never be afraid of the knowing when you come from a belief.
Right.
You don't have to be afraid of the belief, because you have now walked into a knowing. And as mind-blowing as this knowing become and is, you have to stand in your knowing, because to go back into a belief system, and I know, Ray, we have talked about this before, I say fuck that, because some people, I'm just going to go back to church. I'm not going back to shit. I'm not going back to that. I can't deal with that. I refuse. So,
and for some people, it's hard, because even with me, I have conversations with my mother, who is a minister, who goes back and forth between spirituality and Christian, and she's still holding on to a lot of Christian beliefs, but she knows a lot of spiritual stuff, because had she not taught me a lot of stuff by the things that she's done, I wouldn't know it as much as I do. But religion has a huge power. It's a spirit. So it's not just as easy as saying it's a belief system. Religion is a spirit, and people are controlled by this spirit, because I see it talking to my mother, because my mother can have hold on. Jesus. Okay. God damn it. Somebody loud ass car. So not only does, she'll have a conversation with me about spirituality. And then on the other hand, she'll have a conversation with my sister, who is a Hebrew Israelite, who follows the tabernacle, and she follows all of those, like, she doesn't wear pants, she keeps her hair covered. She follows all of these things that they kind of believe in that they're supposed to be doing according to God to keep themselves from going to hell. So she'll talk to her, and then my sister will, Mom, you're not supposed to do that. The Bible says this, the Bible says that. And then my mom will be like, that just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel okay. And she gets in these slumps of depression because she feels like she can't live up to some of the things that are required in religion. But then here, when she talks to me, it's like, you know what? I knew that. I had dreams about this. The angels told me. And it's a constant battle between what she knows that's already inside of her, and then what religion comes and says, hey, this is a human being that told you, hey, look, the Bible says this, but the Bible also says this. So which one do you follow? Because there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible of should I do this or should I do that? So it leaves a lot of people confused. But the people who choose to believe in religion tend to choose the things that are controlled. Like, the Bible tells you to do A, B, C, and D instead of you doing what you know is naturally within your body, within your soul. So most people would rather choose to control, even if they feel like it's uncomfortable. Because my mom does it all the time. She goes back and forth to, I want to stay in religion, but I know my spiritual aspect. I have more freedom. I get more clarity. I get my healing. But the moment I go back into religion, I'm sitting in here with all these guidelines and rules that I can't do. And the feeling of being controlled and knowing that you're being controlled becomes a little bit like havoc in your mind. Like you deal with a lot of stuff mentally within your mind when you go back and forth between the two.
Okay, I got to say something. Hold on. So let's rethink that. So your mom is controlling the narrative. She's taking the basic manipulation, the reality of her manipulating her words so that she can control what she's doing to control other people, to justify why she is in church and why she wants to be spiritual. So what she's really saying is, I can be this way, but you have to be this way. So I'm going to be the pastor, the minister, the higher upper who does spiritual things, but you just need to be at the church. So she's controlling the narrative for herself and you by her reality with her manipulation of her manipulative words. That's what she's doing.
Right.
Because if you think about it, she's saying, well, I can have this life and have this life too, but you can't have this life and this life because I want you to have this life. So she wants you to have the spiritual side if you go to church. Right. And do it her way. But she wants to have the spiritual side whether she in church or not. So she's manipulating. She's manipulating her words to work for her, but to control you. I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
So she's saying you need to go to church so that you can get this divine word, so that God can bless you. But I'm going to get over here and make this money, burn these candles and whatever they do. She's manipulating. She's using her mind to manipulate and control you with her words. So how do you stop people from, it's almost like a narcissistic individual.
It is.
That's what controlling the narrative sometimes could.
Right.
Me, you're narcissistic or there's narcissism in the air. So how does that work though?
You got to definitely, this is where having your own power, having your own confidence within yourself, you definitely have to be strong and have your own power within yourself and understand that if you're dealing with a narcissistic personality of do it my way and my way only, and I can do whatever I want, you have to be strong within yourself and say, I'm going to do what I want, whether you want me to do it or not. And I'm not going to allow your influence to change or waver me back and forth.
So that means you're controlling your narrative at that point.
Yes.
Okay. But if I don't have the power, how do I take my power back and control my own narrative, opposed to letting the masses control it for me? Because if 50 people say, you need to go to church, you need to go to church, you need to go to church, the 51st person would be myself. And I would say, you know what? Maybe Kay is right. I do need to go to church. Maybe that's where I need to be because this right here isn't working. So they've talked me out of it before I could even
get into it. Right.
Yeah.
So this is where I would suggest for anybody, you got to be confident within yourself. That's where it comes in, loving yourself enough to know to, even if 50 people are saying the same thing, because people will perpetuate things that are wrong faster than they will things that are right.
Right. And I want to say this, like controlling the narrative to me seems like more of controlling of your mental aspect of a thing. So if 50 people are telling me I need to go to church, you need to go to church, you need to go to church. And I'm looking at them, well, first of all, I've been in church. So for you to tell me to be in somewhere that I've already been, and now that I'm deciding not to because I want to try, or I'm into something else because now I know that this is something that I need to do. Once again, I'm going against myself in the mental to please people who don't even get to where who probably will never get to the place that I have come to. You know what I'm saying? It's like 5 people telling you, 10 people telling you to jump. And it's like, but I'm gonna die if I do that. And I don't want to die. So fuck you. So do you have to change the narrative and change the way that you look at it. It's like, okay, these motherfuckers, I already been over here. I've been here in this place. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like. I've been here all my life. This is what someone has told me to do all this time, and I did it, and this shit. And now I've moved past it, and I'm here. And those same people still grabbing for me. No, come back. You got to be here. You're going to go to hell. You have to look at it in that aspect. You know what? That's fine. I'll go to your hell, but I'm gonna live in my heaven. I'm gonna live in my place right now, because where I've been was not working for me. I don't know myself here. So you have to go into your mental and talk to yourself as to why those 50 people are not for you, and why your 51st person, that being yourself, is for you, which ultimately you are the number one person that is for you. Right. So I've been there. I don't want to go there again. Let me try something else. Let me do this, because now I'm in a knowing and you guys are still in the belief. You stay there. And if that means I'm losing y'all, fine, because I left. I left y'all. I'm not losing. I'm moving forward. I'm elevating.
Right. But to get to that point, you got to learn who you are. You got to go within yourself. You got to cleanse a lot of stuff. You got to love yourself. Like, it's not as easy as leaving it alone. There's a healing process that has to happen with it, because truthfully, religion is traumatic. It's traumatic, and it's hard when you've been doing something over and over and over again. 50 people been telling you the same thing over and over again, but something inside you disagrees. And a lot of time we'll ignore that little gut feeling. Sometimes it takes you really going deep within yourself and giving yourself love and confidence, and literally knowing who you are, not believing in you, but knowing who you are. And if 50 people jump off a fucking bridge and say, hey, look, this is a way to get to heaven, to jump off that fucking bridge, and everybody keeps saying it, everybody keeps jumping, but you're like, that shit ain't right. That shit ain't right. That shit ain't right. But people are doing it. Yeah, you're going to get to the point where like, am I fucking crazy? But you got to know you. You got to believe in you and understand it. Whether your decision turns out right or wrong, your confidence in yourself, your love for yourself is which is more important than seeing 50 people do it. Hearing 50 people do it, because it can be a little exhausting, because scientifically we understand that one person can have a message and we pass the message along, and as the message gets passed along, it gets misinterpreted. So the idea might be the same, but the message is going to keep changing according to people's belief systems and the way that they're interpreted and the way it was told to them. So if 50 people are jumping off the bridge and they're like, this is what God said to do, we got to go jump off the bridge. But you're like, I don't think I want to die today. I think I want to keep living.
But who's to say if you jump, you might survive? Who's to say if you jump that you will die? Who's to say that they will die? They're just saying God told them to jump. So they're following the manipulation of whatever that person put within them. But if you jump, hell, you might outlive all of them. Because you know what? One, you could be spiritual, whether God said it or not. Two, they may say they're jumping And we see them going down, but we don't know where they went. And then 3, you say, you know what? I am going to jump, but I'm going to live through this jump. That's when you really create your own narrative. When I do coaching sessions with people don't have a clue what nothing is. They're like, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, well, let's sit and let's write it down. Well, I don't know what to write. Okay, well, how do you feel about yourself? Well, I don't know because somebody said. So right then, they're only living their life through somebody else. Somebody said something to me today, and I was like, you think so? They were like, yeah, because so-and-so said, and I stopped them right there. Who the hell is so-and-so, and what gave them permission to tell you to tell me when my own spirit didn't share that with me?
Right.
And you know what they said? Because that's the norm. That's what we do. Who are we? Because I hold my own power. So I think that's the thing. People don't know the power. They're not sure of the power that they have. How do we help people just find that power? Because you could be spiritual all day long and you could be weary.
Right.
And that's exactly what we talked about today. We talked about how by the power vested in me, my will be done.
That's I said that today.
You have to realize that.
I posted that today online.
So we just got through talking about that.
Everyone on this live understand that it's your will be done by the power vested in me. Even if you're not in church, you know, at the prayer it says, by the power vested in me, blah 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 blah. You have the power. That's your power right there. That's if you want to use that every time you put something out. It ain't in Jesus' name, it's in your name.
Right.
You are the I am. Jesus said in my name, in his name, because he was Jesus.
Right.
So now you're going to say in Kianika name because fucking I'm Kianika. You're going to say in Billy Ray because I'm Billy Ray. So that's how you gain your power. That's how you build that up. By the power vested in me, it is so done. Amen.
Right, because it's official, it's given to you. But the thing is, people are afraid of their own power to unleash the dragon because we're such sensitive creatures. A girl said to me earlier, well, we're here to serve the people. I said, shit, well, they late serving me. I need to be served right now because I need my will to be done. This is my journey.
Right.
God said, but that was her God. He didn't come to me. Because I talked to him earlier this morning. He said anything about get out here and serve the people.
So let's talk about that. Where does that narrative originally come from? Where we have to think of ourselves as lower or as we're taught to fear God or fear the Lord. Let's talk about where that comes from.
Slavery. Because our mind is, we have a slave mentality. So I'll give an example, or we follow the crowd. So I didn't know about the whole chicken sandwich situation. I'm slow. Okay, I get that. And somebody sent me a message. So I started sending it to other people. So this is how slavery of the mind works to me. And I have a psychology degree and I'm getting a PhD in mental health. And what I've learned is my mental health was way left. My own personal mental health. And now that I'm bringing it back to the forefront, I have allowed society to control my mental health. So I was a little fucked up in a way, but now, okay, they're going to have to call me Dr. something based on the fact that I'm bringing my mental health together. So the chicken sandwich was going around. I was like, chicken sandwich? Okay, what is this about? Then somebody showed me a fight. Look at that. There goes slavery. You don't see the Chick-fil-A people fighting. But you see the Popeyes people who is owned by the white man. I forgot he owned a bunch of stuff. I have to go back and see what he owned. He owned like Seagrams and some other stuff. But the funny thing about that is one person told one black person, and not to throw the color in there, but I'm just saying, because we do have other people that act accordingly. Right. And so then another person told another black person, and now everybody's in Popeyes. I had people saying, do y'all have chicken on your side of town? That's that slave mentality. We running with the crowd. We're not thinking for ourselves. Can we just make our own chicken at home?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So we won't think for ourselves. It's like, well, if Jay-Z do it, I'm finna do it. And I love Jay-Z. So when she was talking about Jay-Z, I like to die over here.
Hey, I don't have nothing against him.
I instantly thought about Marcy Projects. I said, I'm about to kick her, you know.
I don't mind, honey. I'm just sitting back in the cut like, I know you're about to make a move, Jay, so I ain't saying nothing.
But you know
right.
what?
We're so quick to jump on it and make a decision based on other people. But if you think about it, we haven't even really heard the terms of the deal.
Well, it don't matter. Hey, wait a minute. Listen. He's controlling his own narrative. You don't need the terms, because what he's trying to do is set up a future for his children so they can control that. He said he should have bought Dumbo. He didn't do it. Okay. So the thing is, we don't need to know why or what the deal was. He's controlling the narrative. He said, when I leave here, they'll have something.
Right.
And they'll be able to control what he was controlling and then some. For example, the Amazon man. He is the richest man in the world. We don't even know Oprah no more. So he's controlling his narrative.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. So how can we empower our mental state of mind? Not run for the chicken, but create the chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And change our narrative, because that's what we're not doing. We're running with the trends.
Right.
It's like, okay, what's their recipe? Because Popeyes is not owned by a Black woman. People. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
And it takes going to, because we like to think that, well, let me do it by myself. Something is wrong. I don't know what's wrong. Let me do it by myself. But it really takes going to the people who are shouting, hey, I can help you with your mental. Hey, I can help you with your love, self-love. I can help you with your confidence. And we don't invest in our mental health at all. Like, mental health is at the bottom of the list. It is.
Why do you think mental health is at the bottom of the list? Because one of you all share with me, why do you think it is? I'm a psychology major. Tell me, why do you think mental health is now at the bottom of the list?
Because habitual programming.
Okay. What do you think?
So habitual programming is it's telling somebody to do something. Like when you've taught somebody from a childhood, when you understand the subconscious mind, how the subconscious mind has been formed, because you're born whole. And then as you get older, you have a person's belief system impressed upon you, because that's what we know, is to receive all of these toxic thoughts, to depress, deny, and reject all of the parts of us that are natural to us. But as we get older, society tells us that, no, you can't laugh at that. No, you can't be happy about that. No, that's a bad habit. Don't do it. We are taught all of these bad habits. Hold on. Shit, my neighbors is fighting again. I got to mute myself. I'll let somebody else go.
All right, okay.
Well, what was your question again?
Why do you think mental health is now at the bottom of the totem pole, at the bottom of the brackets? Why do you think that mental health is not important to anybody per se?
Now, I'll go back to when in slavery, when it was just, or even within the Black community, it's like, oh, well, we'll be all right. We won't say nothing. Don't let nobody know what's going on in this house. But now in this day, it's almost like it's okay to be everything, because everything is a disease, or everything is love. Everything is this, like everything is okay.
So there's no separation? There's no separation?
There's some separation, but just like when, I know this is a big thing for some people, and nothing against anyone else. I just feel like a lot of times when it comes to mental illness, it's a way to control us, people, not just Black people, but people in general, to make it seem like, okay, well, I'll put you on this and I'll put you on that. Just like when you have kids with ADHD, it's and it does exist, but it's almost like instead of helping it, people just push it down and I'll just take this medicine and that's just it. Like it's always meds, let's control, mental illness. What? No, that's just this. So take medicine for this. But it still boils down to into that controlling. Okay, we don't need, just like when Billy Bob over here was molesting on his niece and family did nothing about it, and so now she dealing with some mental aspects because nobody fucking helped her, because y'all don't want to push this nigga up out the way because he got some mental illness. Like, we not dealing with it from the jump. You didn't do that, or you should have done this, or you should. I'm a fucking kid. Like, you mean to tell me you don't want to deal with the actual crazy person that's doing this shit, but you want to make it seem like it's my fault and keep this person around us?
But what happens when you start teaching people how to heal themselves and when you go to a therapist, they don't give you the answer. What they do is they guide you with a series of questions on how to come up with the answer yourself or to reach down within you. We've been taught not to admit to anything or not to claim anything. Don't speak that on yourself, just go to God, just pray about it. But that's that old mentality of depend on your master, depend on someone else, other than realizing that the power is actually right there inside of you.
Okay, hold on, Ashley. So with that, this is why I don't do traditional coaching, life coaching, consultation, spiritual, whatever. I had a conversation with someone this week, and I was asking them per se, what's their solution? What do they do next? And they was like, well, we can't get a divorce. We can't move. We can't. But at no point was I looking for them to divorce their spouse, to move away with the children, to sell their house, to live in a box. That wasn't it. I said, now you got to use your mind to move forward and what you think you have going on to make it work for you. And they were like, aha. Instead of saying, divorce this mother, you take the kids and let them suffer. No, I said, now let's use our mind with this. What can we do to turn this negative ion into a positive ion? But wait, here's the kicking part where all this shit will work in your favor. And then the light bulb went on in their head and they was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with that. Because most of the time it's go to therapy, you crying, because I've been to therapy. I wanted to kill somebody. I went and I told them. And they were like, we're going to put you in a home so we can mess with your mind. We can give you medication. I said, lady, I'm not taking medication because I don't do medication. But she said, well, I think you need to see a psychiatrist. I feel like you're going crazy because somebody threatened me with a gun. You don't think I need to threaten them back?
Right.
And she's like, no, I think your mental health is fading you.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, I had to break her down and throw all the degrees on the table. Right. And then I told her, I said, you're 60-something years old. You don't be a therapist. So there's different ways we can use our mind. We have to manipulate our minds anyway, because everybody wants us on medicine. That's how the world is now.
Right. To be numb to it all. To be numb
to it. That's why we get up, go to work, come home, cook, go to bed, get up, go to work. Everything is so mundane for us. Now, when you get up and you call in, you like, I'm just not coming. They're like, well, what's wrong with you? You feel good?
I know for me, that was making me crazy.
That type of lifestyle is mental health. You have mental health problems from getting up, going to somebody's job every day, stressed out, and then you come home and you stressed out again. That's how suicide takes place. Right. I've been working in the psychology field for 9 years, and I know one thing. I've wanted to kill myself many a times because I was getting up, going to these people's job, in traffic 2 hours, coming back, in traffic again, and stress. The day I told that lady kiss my ass was the best day of my life. And that's just where we need to get mentally. We need to figure out how to use our mind in its total capacity, not what Donald Trump said.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? We need to take all that out. We need to just sit quietly, erase that from our mind, and make mental health the number one priority. Because once you can get your mind in order, everything else will fall in place.
Will follow.
It will. It gives you a sense of freedom.
Most people will not, when we talk about mental and getting it together, most people, that's the first thing they run from. Why is that? Why is it that your mental aspect is the last thing that you're willing to invest in order to...
In fear of knowing the truth.
Right.
Because we're in fear of seeing ourselves for who we are. We're in fear of realizing that we're not that whatever we were called growing up. We're in fear of recognizing our truth, who we are, and what we truly stand for. That's why it's on the bottom of the total pole.
Right.
That's the reason.
And nobody wants to feel hurt. Nobody wants to admit that I did wrong. Nobody wants to admit that I'm a bad person. Everybody wants to be a good person. Everybody wants to have this fake persona of themselves of, I am doing good, I am doing right. And what if you tell me that the habits that I've been doing my entire life, you're telling me that I've done wrong, like years of doing the same thing over and over, and here you are telling me I need to change that? That should have
that you said the key word, no one wants to admit
right
out loud, but instead you're holding it in, and it's fucking you up mentally within your body, because you won't release the bullshit that you refuse to just speak out loud.
Because holding it in keeps you safe.
Right.
Holding it in keeps one safe from the world, reality, what may or may not happen, and who I am or who I'm not. So in order for me to stay safe in my bubble, I have to hold that in. I don't have to deal with it.
You'll die in that quote unquote safety of toxicity.
Right.
But it may not be toxicity to me because I'm able to live through it. However, I'm living through it. It may not be the right thing to do, but because I feel like it's safe for me, this is what I should be doing. I've already talked my narrative into my mental space. So now, like, I should do this because it is the right thing to do. I should do this. And you keep telling yourself, and then it becomes insanity, but it's a good insanity for you because you know what? You keep doing it.
Right.
So for that person, it means, okay, my husband's abusing me. Like I told somebody today, I know my husband slept with somebody else, but that's not a deal breaker, but I feel sorry for him now. They were like, you think so? I said, I know so. He a man. But what's good for the goose could be good for the gander. See, I play a different kind of game. I'm creating my narrative in the mental where I'm going to get what I want without without me having to tell them what I need. So now I have mental power.
Right.
You know, and nobody wants us to have mental power because everybody thinks that the president is the only one with mental power. That's why he gets on Twitter and has these rants, because we're no longer listening to him create his narrative.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right. So
we're no longer listening to him rant and rave. We're like, okay, next, let's talk about Burger King. Now they got this new burger, like he's on the back burner. So he throws a fit about that because now his mental state of mind is being affected because we're not giving him that energy. Yeah. Yep.
Let's take some questions.
One person, I do see a question here. Hold on, I want us to go back to it because I think some people. She asked, how do you, hold on. Did you write any of them down, Ashley?
I got them right here.
Okay, yeah, well, go ahead. I'll let you do it.
Well, the first question is, what's tonight's topic? So I'm putting that in here. But while I'm waiting for others to post, you can go ahead.
Oh, no, she already posted the question. Hold on, let me go back to it. Because someone asked how, hold on, with my girls learning, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, guys. You guys posted a lot of stuff. Oh, so someone was saying how can we use this now for our children? Because one person was saying that they're introducing their children into spirituality, and how can they effectively basically show and teach their children a different way.
Basically go against the grain. Go against the grain, teach them to love themselves more, show within your actions, because kids learn more from your actions than they do from you telling them. But you got to show you first. Show you your love for yourself. Put you first, then the kids. Like you got to put you first, then the kids. Because I know everybody, well, my kids come first. No, your kids should come second. You come first, because you got to be in a great state in order for you to deal with your kids. But learn like coping mechanisms. like how to cope healthily, like what are ways to cope with life in a healthy manner. Change the way you talk to them, meditation, cleansing. Talk to them and let them, like, don't allow them to filter out because they're kids. A lot of times kids say things and we're like, well, you're too young to say that. You're too young to understand that. But then you're kind of molding them to what you want them to be. Give them more freedom than what you're allowing them to.
Right.
Because if you want someone to grow up with controlling their own narrative, it's something that has to be taught. We're habitual creatures. Like the more we do it, the more it gets into our subconscious mind, because that's what rules our entire life. Our subconscious mind is 90% of our being. So if our subconscious mind is 90% of our being, that's all the stuff that we've learned. We develop our experiences, our traumas, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent. So you want to create habits that are going to make sure that their subconscious mind is going to keep replaying these healthy behaviors.
At
Talking
the same
to
time, when you're when you're parenting it's about learning from the way that you were parented, and I'm not saying that so you can do exactly what they did. I'm telling you that so you can know, okay, that really didn't work for me. So let me find a way that's a little bit better, maybe a little bit conducive. Children are very smart. They know what's going on. They know what's not going on. They're more intuitive than we are half the time because they haven't been so programmed. They're still free, a lot of it in their mental. So we can learn a lot from children if we just sit there and talk to them.
right.
And begin to speak with them and talk to them on a level that's like, okay, well, yeah, that does make sense. And of course they do answer in a kind of like a childish way, which could make it funny, but there's always truth within that. So you have to remember that children have to grow up and become who they are, but are advancing who they are. So you have a little bit of control of whether they take the route of being a person who deals with communication well or don't deal with communication well. Because a lot of these adults right now are fucked up because of their parents, and because they're being hunted by the hurt that was caused, but they're allowing it to remain that way instead of healing from it.
Well, I want to say something about what she's saying about being haunted. I've worked with children with autism, ADHD, and just bad kids, just need an ass whipping bad. I know for sure that Kay has a child that is more of an indigo crystal child. So parents, when your children are doing things that quote unquote look weird, not normal, those children have a special gift or a special talent. If they act adult-like and they're like 5 through 7, those are probably indigo children. Children who possess a special or unusual trait, who has a natural third eye that came open. So you have to really look at some of the things. Like you said, oh, he's really, really gifted. That's a revolutionary child. That means that they're going to be bigger than Al Sharpton. That means that they're hooked to something that's not in this realm. So when you see your children in ballet and they're able to pick up things, automatically say, okay, I got an indigo child or a crystal child, because children, they do learn from us. But for those who already know, those children are already called. So parents, look at that, oh, my kid does everything I do. Maybe, but then again, they may be doing everything that they've been doing from this other realm.
Right.
They're not from this realm. And that's for another day when we could talk about children, because I think it's important. If you're going to be in spirituality, you should recognize your child. Because recognizing your child will teach you a lot about yourself. And I know Kay has an indigo or maybe a crystal child or a combination of both. because of the way he is. He's not a normal. I knew that from the beginning. He's not a normal kid. I was like, you got to watch him. Both of her children have a unique gift. And it's not that they've even been here before. It's just that they're from another realm.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about one day we'll do, because I'm really good at like diagnosing children in the path and the journeys that they should be on. So I'm just saying, if anybody in here doesn't understand why their children are so gifted or sassy mouth or old acting, research that and see what you come up with.
Right. And that'll probably be if you want, our next spiritual talk is spirituality and kids. That way we can kind of, touch on that, because I think it's important for us to really grasp at that, because we need to know. We need to be dealing with our kids on a different level.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it truthfully, spirituality should start at childhood, because we got a lot of fucked up ass adults because of the lack of spirituality. Religion has played a big role in it. So we have a bunch of adults who are traumatized from people who are traumatized themselves, and all they're doing is perpetuating it. So for those of you who are coming into spirituality, there sometimes is a narrative of just self. And rarely is it of, I'm doing this for me and my kids. Because if you dated somebody who like is emotionally just a mess, you understand that it starts in childhood. Trauma starts in childhood. It's not just the things that have happened when I was, an adult, I got into a bad relationship. No, you got into that bad relationship because that shit started from something that happened to you in childhood. So finding the root of the problem starts in childhood, which is why a lot of psychologists revert to childhood. You got to go back to your mother and father selves in order to figure out, okay, what happened? Where do I go from here? So addressing children is very important and very vital.
I want to say something about that. So I'm gonna disagree, because I'm always that person, because I am a psychology major and I have been mentally insane. I don't want to say that religion has a lot of people, and maybe blacks, I don't know, messed up per se, because some of us didn't get religion.
Right.
And some of us was just fancy free. So certain lifestyles has a lot of adults messed up, because maybe the parents didn't instill certain things in them. Maybe they were a latchkey kid who had to come home and pretty much raise themselves. So they were raised by wolves. So I don't want to say for me that I think a lot of adults are messed up because of religion. However,
and I don't mean it in the sense of religion, like they were in church, but
no, I don't mean that either. I don't mean that either.
Because even the reality of our laws are set based on a religious practice, and religion doesn't mean Christian. For me, it doesn't mean Christian. It means a set of guidelines and rules that everybody follows. And there's a spiritual aspect to it, but there's also a religious, because of course, in God we trust is all over our money. We have, even in the saluting of the flag, you might not have had that upbringing. You might have been atheist. You might have been, whatever cultural belief you had, there is some type of religious influence, especially here in the Western America. I don't know about other countries, but I know here for Western America, religion has played a huge role, whether you've been in the church or not, on your influence of your behaviors, of what you believe in and what you don't believe in.
Well, no, I understand that, but I was just saying, you were saying that's why a lot of adults were probably, messed up. But I wanted to say that I want to disagree with that, because I'm a psychology major. Right. I want to say that their own mental state of mind as an adult could be messed up without "In God We Trust," because I am God, or God is. and so I'm just saying, in general, I personally wouldn't put that out there, because then people will think that it's for me that they're all around messed up, But then who do they blame that on? Not In God We Trust, not the president, not the dollar bill, not the American anthem. We were just following the rules that the people set. But we're adults now.
Right.
So to be able to read and write and listen to these YouTube videos accordingly and transmute that into something greater. Like, we can't keep blaming, you know, Harriet Tubman for not freeing enough of us.
Right.
Whoever. I don't know them people back there, but I'm just saying, Paula Deen and her people letting us read. At some point, we have to create the narrative and put us in a better situation for today. Because whatever happened then has happened. I don't know what those people did. I don't even give a damn about what they did. What are we going to do today? Collectively, divine collectively, we make it where these people that are watching us know that the past is gone. Today is about to be gone. We're going to finish out and then we'll try something another time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we want to make sure we create the narrative for ourselves, but then help these people who feel they're in between both worlds, night and day, to create their narrative. Because if they're on here, they're looking for something. They don't know how to create that. So maybe for me, I wouldn't say that that's why they're messed up. Because I'm still messed up. I just told you that I had mental blocks that I did not know how to handle. But now that I'm getting a doctorate degree, I'm like, aha. And it ain't even from the books. It's from YouTube videos, researching, and knowing that I would have been fucked up had I not gotten on this path. So I'm just saying that for me.
And you guys, who you're hearing on the phone is Billy Ray. She's not really a guest. She just hasn't been on, but she always gonna, when she feels like it, get on for the Spiritual Talk. So it's really always three of us for the Spiritual Talk. She just comes in when, you know, time and spirit allows.
So I actually have a question for Billy Ray, because you said you've learned more here on YouTube than you have in actual school. Because even when I was going to school for psychology, there is a perpetuation of course, Sigmund and Freud in the early part of, you know, psychology. So you're saying you learned more about yourself and got more from, like, would you say that personal experience is better than what they teach you, that for this solution, for this problem should be this solution? Like, these are the symptoms, this is the problem, this is the solution. And that's kind of how I see it. When I remember when I was in school going for psychology, that this is a theory, this is a problem, this is the solution, this is how you fix it. But finding that it's not as easy as saying this is a solution. So would you say that it's better to find someone with experience and different type of psychological things than it is to find someone who just, oh, I have 5 and 6 masters in such and such and such? Or would you think that it's better to find someone that goes within themselves and finds, you know, examples and solutions?
Experience
Right.
Being the teacher, as far, and instead of just being a book smart type of.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I need a combination, because for you brought up Sigmund. His thing was ID, ego, and super ego. So we'll have to discuss that in the spiritual world, because there are a lot of men who have a super ego because they brag about things, they sleep around, they drink, they smoke. So we'll have to talk about that in the psychology world of spirituality, because spirituality is just not doing a money amulet and getting money.
You're
it
right.
goes for the ID, the ego, the super ego, and then every element of your body. So I'll talk about that. I need both experience and I need book smarts. And I'm going to tell you why. Some of the information in the books will allow you to analyze yourself. If you're spiritually connected within, it'll allow you to analyze that ego that creates a super ego that creates narcissism. So you need book. You need 50 degrees, or you need somebody who have read and has knowledge. You don't have to have a degree, but if you have knowledge, you probably have experience.
Exactly.
Knowledge gives you that experience, and experience capitalizes on the knowledge. Because if you go out here and you get caught robbing a bank, you're probably going to look at one of these movies on Netflix to figure out how they did it and not get caught. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the best of both worlds.
Right.
Keto is a hot and popular thing. Everybody's on keto. But what somebody didn't find out was, how did I gain 60 pounds after I got off of keto? Nobody researched that part. But
And
you look good for
posting
6
that
months.
either. Right.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You have a little bit of information and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You have a little bit of experience. So then you try it, and now you're 60 pounds heavier than what you were before you started.
Right.
That's that, for many are called, but few are chosen. You might have been called to teach me this, but you weren't chosen to give me your knowledge. That's how I look at it. I don't know. I don't know. Shut up, Cody. Sorry. I don't know. So for me, I talk to people about their experience, not mine.
Right.
Today I had a phone conversation with somebody. I thought I was prepared, but then one thing after the other kept happening. So I just won. I said, let me just wing it. I'm gonna win this conversation my way. I'm gonna get the information I can get out of, and then I'll just have to do it another time when I'm available. So the experience was, the person had the knowledge or some knowledge of what was needed. I needed to experience what they had, but I wasn't able to do so because I wasn't prepared. So now I'm still lacking knowledge, but I do have the experience of how to run my conversations, which that may not make sense to people, but you got to have both. I don't think there's no way that you can get around. Because where are we getting our information from when we talk about the Bible? The Bible. Right. So we got to have both. And not in everything, but in something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And like somebody mentioned, I know for me, when I am talking to clients, I do the same thing. I clearly state, everybody's situation is different. So I don't treat your situation like I would the last person that that I've talked to or whatever. So it's almost like you have to understand that although the basis of something is similar, not everyone needs the same thing. And I don't know if that's what Amethyst was saying here, that, it's a case by case basis. I think you have to be versed in those aspects and understand that that's what's needed. And I think a lot of times, even in going back to spirituality and creating that narrative, a lot of times what has happened is that we get so cookie cutter type situations that people think that this one thing is working for everybody. And it's like, how not smart of you. Like how, you're just not using your mental to think that, okay, well, religion is cookie cutter. It's going to work for everybody. You need to do it or you're just done. Mm-hmm. So we have to remember that that's not the case. Like, we're all here experiencing something, just like everybody in that Bible who wrote their particular book. They experienced something according to them, and it just happens to make it into this book, and now all of a sudden it's the be all end all of everything. Like, come on now.
Right. But they don't.
You know what? I was gonna say, because what you were just saying, the be all end all, I could give you the recipe. That was going around a while back, I think, on social media. I can give you the recipe, but the sauce still won't taste the same.
Right.
So everybody's gonna have their own way of creating their narrative, living through their narrative, whether it's book form or whether it's experience. But at some point, if you say, well, how did you do this? Or what happened to you? Well, I such and such and such. Well, I'm giving you the recipe, but then it still may not turn out the same way in which it happened to me. It could be worse for you. Like you said, 50 people going to jump. You're going to be the 51st person. You see 50 people jump, but you don't see no heads bobbing in the water. But you might jump and an eagle might swing by and pick you up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I can give you the recipe to all of this, but the sauce still won't be the same, which means you got to do your own reading and research. You have to know your reason for creating your narrative.
Stuff you got to take away, some stuff you got to put in your part of the work in order to make.
You have to do the work. That's why ritual work don't work for a lot of people, because they don't want to do the work. I'm learning that myself. It's work and it costs. And I never experienced that, seeing people do certain things. I'm like, oh, okay, I could do that. Oh, no, I can't.
Right.
And they gave me the recipe and there was no sauce. So, yeah.
So let's back up for a second.
That takes a self-awareness. I think a lot of people lack self-awareness. Most people I can I can do it. Instead of just saying, okay, you know what? I can't do this. I need the help. And I'm aware of myself enough. And I'm not embarrassed to say that, you know what? I don't fucking know. And I need some assistance.
Right. And that goes to with people with mental health. Well, I can get my own mental health. I can do this on my own. And even with me from experience, I thought the same way. Okay, I know there's something wrong, so I'm going to do research because I don't find value in investing in my mental state, but I will research that shit for free. But it's not until I invest in it and I realize, holy shit, there's value in getting my mind together, because the moment I see a therapist, the therapist gives me all the tools I need. The moment I seek someone who does mindset work, who helps me with my emotional state, then I understand how necessary it is to actually get the answers from somebody else instead of thinking, well, duh, dummy, you didn't have the answers in the first place. And here it is, you're holding on to this, complaining about the way your life is going, but you want it to change. You want it to change, but you're not willing to do what it takes to change. And for us, money, especially for me at one point, was I don't have the money for it, nor am I going to get the money for it. Although I was spending thousands of dollars on hair, getting my nails done. I mean, food, I would spend a lot of fucking money on food, just alone. So putting food over my mental state didn't make any sense until like, why the fuck was I doing that when I'm complaining about my financial situation and I think that I can do it by myself, and I'm Googling shit and I'm Googling the wrong shit and I'm trying to keep doing it over and over and over again, and the shit's not working, thinking that I can get the answer for myself. But it's not until I go get it from somebody else that has an outside perspective, because my ego won't allow me to go get help. So when I finally be like, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to go get help, then everything starts going off. Then it starts prompting me to think about questions that I never thought to ask myself, or address things that I thought I dealt with. So it is.
I have a question. Does creating a narrative for anybody, or creating your own narrative, is okay? First question. Does creating your own narrative scare anybody? Like, is there a fear in creating the narrative?
Wait, can I pop in real quick? Let's back up. What narratives are we referring to? And what are the different narratives that need to be controlled and taken back?
Whatever narrative you see for yourself, just like the Bible says in Habakkuk 2:2-7, you write the vision and make it plain. So whatever you see fit for your everyday life, if it's getting up, doing a facial, I do it every day. That's a narrative I'm creating because I need to look 20 in my 40s. But that's the narrative.
Right. But also when we say create the narrative, basically the basis of the title is because, or the topic is because, here we are in America and everything is, it's like the Truman Show. If y'all ever seen that movie, we fucking walking around here and everyone has a role and they're playing a role and we're just oblivious to each other and we're just going along. So we're saying, break that shit up. Now, okay, y'all could go about your life. Don't try to create some shit for me.
Right.
Do this. So it can be scary. That if I think anyone who says, oh no, I'm good. No, it is scary because you're doing something that you're not used to fucking doing. And it can be very scary. That's just like the healing process. That's scary for a lot of people. I don't want to know it. I just want to stay here. So creating that narrative is like, dang, well, what if I created and I messed up my life? Or what if
But that's the fear. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's your fear of not doing it. It's not because of outside influences or anything like that. Society is quicker to create it for us than we are for ourselves. But why?
Right. Because we don't see, we have an issue with not having certainty. Like when we can't put the pieces together and see it, we become fearful of, I can't see it. It's almost like I'm walking in.
Well, wait a minute. We can't see the deal that Jay-Z had, and that's what Ashley was just saying. We don't even know the whole scope of it. We can't see.
And that's the thing, is we fear what we don't know because we can't control it. We want to control it.
That's true.
But at the same time, we want it to be controlled. So it's kind of like a catch-22. I want to be controlled, but I also want to control it. I want to be able to see it.
Control being controlled. Like, I don't just want you to control me. Let me control. Like for the whole Jay-Z thing, I don't have to see anything. I don't have to see that. So many people want to see what you're doing. Why are you so worried about what he's doing? What the hell are you doing? While he's creating his narrative, you worried about, what narrative is he creating? That don't sound right. Yet your shit ain't even written on. You're not even.
But see, a smart person, somebody smart would transmute that energy to create their own and say, aha, Jay-Z did it. I need to create that. For example, Kim Kardashian did that sex tape. That's what set her to freedom. And she hadn't looked back one day, $16 billion later or whatever, I don't know. But she took that negativity or that creative, which was meant to be bad, and created something, her own narrative from it. So how do we create our own narrative and not allow society to do it? Like, how do we do that? How do we just make our own decisions? Because that's all creating a narrative is making your own decisions, taking responsibility, taking your power back, transitioning from fat to skinny, tall to short. I don't know. It's you taking your power back. So how does one actually do that?
You got to become consistent. You got to become consistent. You got to become habitual, because it's all about a mind thing. It's all about your mind. In order to create your narrative, you got to create your own belief system. When you can get into your own subconscious mind, you make it habitual. You make it like creating habits of your own narrative until it becomes something that not making it a muscle memory for you. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, because you'll start to accept it, because that's what you're used to doing. When you exchange one habit for the next, it becomes easier. Consistency. The more consistent you become at it, the easier it gets. There will be moments where it's hard, but the more you stay consistent at it and be open to change.
What a hard moment would be. You said there will be moments when it's hard.
Outside influences tend to be hard, because outside influences are when we're talking to people about what it is that we're doing, and we have somebody's belief system that contradicts our own belief system. You might recognize that what they're saying to you is an error, but a part of that gets into your subconscious mind, and you start to question yourself, and then you start to create habits that sabotage what you've worked so hard for. So outside influences that contradict what you're doing make it hard. And even when it comes to creating a habit, for me, it's no different than working out. If you've ever worked out, it's painful. Like, you go through, your muscles go through all these different pains. Your body starts to kind of almost reject certain things. So you have to, like, the more you do it, the more you condition yourself, the easier it will get. Because when you're not doing it, when you're going against the grain, it makes it hard. Because you done already had a foundation of what you've been doing, what your habits currently are. So here it is, you're realizing my habits that I have aren't working for me. So now I got to redo them. Now I got to undo some things, and it's going to be hard. So those moments of outside influences can make it hard.
They can.
And not just that, the first stages of it too. The first stages of it makes it hard, because here it is, I'm only been doing it for 3 days.
And things are and you get into a panic stage. So it's not just outside influences, because a lot of times, I mean, that's part of it. But once again, it's here. It starts here. Because even if you didn't have anyone saying anything to you about it, it's like, oh my God, this is not normal. I'm afraid. And you get that, you start to think of those fear-based things instead of consistently telling yourself, you know what, you're doing something greater and better for yourself by blah, 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 whatever you decide to do. We have to get into a space where we are fully involved with who we are and what we are. And if we don't understand that, get to know who you are and what you are before you even decide to change your narrative. Because once you begin to learn more about you and your being and your I am and your God self, the narrative will be going to change anyway, because you're changing how you see you. So you don't even have to force the narrative to change when you go back to figuring out who you are, what you are, mastering yourself. So it all boils back to you, the I am, the God self, you. So let's see here. Billy, did you have anything else? Did you have another question? I wanted to add to that.
No, ma'am.
And Wonderful Willow was like, I'm about to give up a whole lot of comfort zones, you know, and that's another thing. When we are in our comfort zone, that's the most comfortable, uncomfortable place to be. Because, I'm used to this and I don't want to lose any of this, but all the while you're losing who you are because you don't want to remove yourself out of that comfort zone that you've built for yourself because of what you're used to having. So stepping out of that comfort zone is part of creating, you know, your narrative and writing your narrative. And we've been on here for about an hour, 30 minutes. So we don't want to just keep talking and bore you guys, but we will be back with Spiritual Talk on Tuesday. We already decided that I guess the next subject will be the children. I'm talking about the women. Talk about the children and spirituality and things like that. So we appreciate you guys joining us on this live. Did anyone want to say anything before we peace out?
I want to say, if you have any questions, maybe jot them down so that Ms. Ashley can start writing them and we can answer them collectively. And then if your children are saying and doing unique things or things that you call not natural or that's not normal, remember those things. So when you come back and we talk about the indigo children, the realm of the children, and the crystal children, you'll have a little more clarity on who they're not. So be a little more open-minded, because people are very sensitive about their children, especially children with autism and ADHD, because we have a habit of calling those kids slow, forgive me. Right. And so we want to make sure that, you know, people come and know that it's a sensitive subject. Indigo and crystal children is a sensitive subject because it does deal with children that have what they call special gifts or ADHD, autism, and things of that nature. So just have a question ready, you know what I mean? Because I like kids, sort of.
Yeah. All right. Well, until you guys get your questions together, and we will see you guys then. Peace out.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.